Even a piece of excrement has its value. Xiao Lei's words. Alas, I didn't expect that this muscle man is simply a gorilla that hasn't fully evolved. How could he be the fiancé of the delicate young lady from the Tian family? What a pity. A beautiful flower is inserted into cow dung. Well, it should be gorilla dung. Xiao Lei couldn't help but imagine the appearance of the delicate and pitiful young lady from the Tian family he had just seen standing together with this muscle man, and a chill arose in his heart. The muscle man shouted fiercely, "Why are you this sissy here?" After that, remembering the scene in the Taekwondo club that day, he stretched out a big hand to grab Xiao Lei. Xiao Lei immediately dodged and hid behind Tian Jun. Tian Jun's face sank, and he shouted, "Lei Ho, stop quickly." He stretched out one hand and gently tapped on the muscular man's palm. The muscular man's face changed slightly, and he immediately stepped back a step. Tian Jun let out a sigh, then his face eased. He whispered, "Master Xiao Lei, please don't take offense. This is my nephew Lei Ho. He is a bit reckless by nature. You are a master of the Taoist school. Please don't take it to heart with him." Then he glared at the muscular man Lei Ho fiercely and said in a deep voice, "Lei Ho, stand still for me. This Master Xiao Lei is a distinguished guest I invited. He's a famous master of the Taoist school in this city. Don't be rude." Xiao Lei felt very uncomfortable in his heart. He thought, what master of the Taoist school? Those old guys outside were all masters of the Taoist school in your heart when you invited them. But as soon as they couldn't save your daughter, the master of the Taoist school immediately became a quack. Now it's probably because he thinks there is hope to save your daughter that he is so polite to me. Thinking of this, he couldn't help secretly pinching the check hidden in his sleeve and sighed secretly, whatever, anyway. The check has been obtained, and in the face of money, he can't care about these things. Xiao Lei squeezed out a smile on his face and looked at Lei Ho and said, "So your name is Lei Ho? I didn't expect that we are of the same clan. We got to know each other in the Taekwondo club that day. Today, well, first meeting is strange, second meeting is familiar. I am Mr. Tian Jun's guest invited to see Miss Lei's illness." Na Lei Ho stared at Xiao Lei with bull-like eyes, opened and closed his mouth, and then said, "Treating illness. Is my sister really sick? Why didn't she tell me? Something's wrong. Can you, a sissy, treat illness? I'm afraid you're here to cheat money." Lei Ho's words actually made a rare trace of embarrassment flash across Xiao Lei's face. He coughed gently, then looked at Tian Jun and said, "In this way, I'll go out and discuss with the fellow Taoists. I'm afraid the matter tonight still needs to rely on the strength of a few fellow Taoists. Besides, I need a few things." Here, hiv. Tian Jun was extremely smart. He immediately smiled and said, "Master Xiao Lei, please go. I will definitely teach Lei Ho a good lesson." Then, he sent a bodyguard to follow Xiao Lei. He ordered that as long as it was what Xiao Lei needed, no matter what, it should be tried to satisfy. Xiao Lei arched his hands, but didn't even look at Lei Ho, and then walked out. He really had some hostility towards Lei Ho in his heart. This inexplicable hostility was probably because he just learned that Lei Ho was the fiancé of a young lady from the Tian family. How could such a crude man like a bull be worthy of that delicate and beautiful little beauty? Humph, Lei Ho. Sure enough, it's a vulgar and crude name. It really matches that guy's muscular build. Alas, what a pity for that young lady from the Tian family. Her name is Ge, right? That name is really wonderful and beautiful. Alas, it seems that Tian Jun's vision in choosing a son-in-law is really inappropriate. After going out, Xiao Lei first ran to ask the bodyguards to get back the sack of magic tools of his sect that they had forcibly brought. He first checked them himself, and then went to search around among the fellow Taoists in the city. Although most of those guys were fraudsters with no real skills, they still had some basic materials in their hands, such as cinnabar for drawing talismans, Taoist talismans, etc. When they came out to cheat, these basic props were actually complete. After searching around, he also asked the people from the Tian family for food. He had been caught without having lunch, and now he was already extremely hungry. The bodyguard who was following him had received Tian Jun's instructions, so naturally someone served him delicious food and drink. Xiaolei didn't worry at all. He ate 2 bowls of shark fin porridge and 4 bowls of abalone noodles, and drank half a bottle of Remy Martin XO. Only then did he have a full meal, let out a few loud burps, and then said that he wanted to practice martial arts. He told the bodyguard outside not to disturb him, and then lay on the sofa and had a good sleep. It wasn't until the sun was setting that he turned over and jumped up. He only felt that his whole body was light and refreshed. Then he called the servant and drank 2 cups of authentic Westlake Longjing tea picked just this spring. Just as he was picking his teeth and sighing, Tianjun came in with Lei Ho, who had an embarrassed face. Is Master Xiaolei resting? Xiaolei let out a sigh, patted his own belly, and giggled. Thanks for the hospitality. My belly hasn't had such a good meal in days. Tianjun then smiled faintly and said, if Master Xiaolei has already rested well, you see. Xiaolei immediately sat up straight and said seriously, don't be in a hurry. I'll start working right now. Raising his hand to open the sack filled with countless magical tools beside him, a row of objects were lined up one by one on the table. Xiaolei walked in front of the table, first pretended to recite a few words facing south and with his back to the north, then knelt down respectfully and kowtowed, and said loudly, Xiaolei, a disciple of the Zhuge Divine Calculation Sect, respectfully invites the Master's magical tools. Then he spread several talismans on the desktop with one hand and picked up a cinnabar pen with the other hand. He dipped it lightly twice in the cinnabar that had been ground into ink paste. The palm holding the pen was in the shape of a tiger's claw. After taking a breath, he then wrote with the pen in a way like a dragon moving and a snake slithering. In a moment, 7 or 8 Taoist talismans were already completed. Putting down the pen, Xiaolei looked at his work with satisfaction for 2 eyes, thinking that it seemed that what he learned with the old rascal on weekdays was not bad. These several talismans were indeed drawn in a somewhat decent way. Tianjun and that Lei Ho behind him were curious, walked up and looked at it for 2 eyes, only to see that on each piece of talisman as big as a palm, there were several strange symbols drawn with cinnabar, and I don't know what kind of characters they were, and even more couldn't understand what they meant. Xiaolei carefully put away these talismans one by one, and then picked up a small green box. When he opened it, inside there were 2 green willow leaves. The willow leaves were tender green through and through, just as if they had just been picked from the branches. What is this thing? Just 2 rotten leaves. That Lei Ho obviously still had a lot of grudge in his heart against Xiaolei, and couldn't help muttering in a low voice. Xiaolei gave him a sideways glance and sneered. Rotten leaves. These rotten leaves are treasures of my sect. After all, Tianjun is a person in the Jianghu. He knows that no matter small or big sects, they all attach great importance to their sect's treasures. Any disrespect from outsiders is against the rules of the Jianghu. He gave Lei Ho a glare and then said, Master Xiaolei, what exactly is the use of these 2 leaves? Xiaolei looked at the 2 of them and gently held the leaves on his fingertips. He said seriously, Mr. Tian, I am a person from the Xin sect. People from our Xin sect respect heaven and earth and believe in ghosts and gods, especially the ghost and god theories that ordinary people don't believe in. For us, they're all believed. He looked at the thing in his hand and smiled. These 2 leaves are just ordinary willow leaves, but they are magic tools left by the founder of my sect, with the magic power of the founder on them. They have their own wonderful uses. Wait, when I cast a spell, I can help the 2 of you open the celestial eyes. At least within 6 hours, the 2 of you can see. Hee, you can see things you can't see on weekdays. That is, you can see the ghosts in the netherworld and the ghosts capturing little devils with your naked eyes. Ordinary people's naked eyes can't see ghosts because the mortal body is covered by the worldly commonness. But with this magic tool of mine, you can improve your spiritual perception in a short time. Both Tianjun and Lei Ho were startled and couldn't help looking at each other. Lei Ho whispered, "Open the celestial eyes." Xiaolei didn't make a sound. He held the 2 willow leaves in one hand and made a sword formula with the other hand. He chanted a few incantations to the 2 willow leaves and then suddenly shouted, "Open!" I saw a faint green light flashing on the two willow leaves at his fingertips. Tianjin saw in his eyes and was even more shocked. His confidence in Xiao Lei immediately increased by 3 points. Xiao Lei calmly wiped the two people's eyes with the willow leaves and then re-washed the willow leaves with talisman water and carefully put them back in the box. He thought to himself, the old bastard told me not to use this eye-opening leaf casually. But now the other party is a big spender who paid a large sum of money. I guess when the old bastard comes back, seeing the check, he won't scold me. Tianjin and Lei Ho only felt a faint coolness on their foreheads. Then they opened their eyes and felt an indescribable feeling. It seemed that everything within their line of sight was much clearer. But Lei Ho stared with his eyes wide open and looked around for a while and then anxiously said, "Sissy, you said you could see ghosts. Why isn't there a single ghost shadow?" Xiao Lei rolled his eyes and sneered. "Ghosts? Were there so many lonely souls and wild ghosts for you to see? Besides, we are in Tion's house. Could it be that the two door gods pasted on the gate of Tion's house are fake? How can ordinary lonely souls and wild ghosts run into this mansion?" Lei Ho thought for a moment and just mumbled, I can't argue with you. You effeminate fellow. Just keep making a fuss. I'd better go and see Sister Kur. Alas, she's become so cold. Won't she catch a cold?" Xiao Lei held back his laughter and shouted, "Wait a minute." He walked over, sized up Lei Ho from head to toe, bit of smile showing in his eyes, then suddenly took Lei Ho's hand, extended 3 fingers, and gently felt Lei Ho's wrist, and smiled. "Lei Ho, the martial arts you practice is also extremely rigid and young, right?" Tianjin showed a bit of surprise and said, "Lei Ho is my nephew by marriage. His martial arts has been taught to him personally by me since he was a child, and he could be regarded as my disciple. Master Xiao Lei has a good eye." Xiao Lei nodded, a strange smile showing on his face, looked into Lei Ho's eyes, and whispered, "If I'm not mistaken, Lei Ho should still be a virgin, right?" Lei Ho's face immediately turned purple, and he threw off Xiao Lei's hand with a jerk. The expression was as ugly as it could be, stammering, "You, how do you know again?" Xiao Lei shook his head and said, "There's no need to say more about this." After a pause, he said seriously, "Tonight, I'm going to deal with the ghosts sent by the underworld to call souls." Lei Ho practices extremely young and fierce kung fu, and he is still a virgin boy. His whole body has the heaviest yang energy. I'm afraid I still need him to stay and help me. What ghost from hell that calls souls? Lei Ho was stunned for a moment. Xiao Lei had a strange expression on his face, but in his heart he thought to himself, this guy is stupid, and he's the most suitable candidate to be used as a shield. Well, but if he is sucked dry of yang energy by the underworld little ghosts, it can't be blamed on me. You want to save your sister, but it has nothing to do with me.